Prospecting. John, I'm delighted to have you as a client, and I look forward to being of service to you over the many years that lie ahead. Now, John, as you know, I'm in a people business and thus rely solely upon my clients for new people to talk with. However, John, I want you to relax because, quite frankly, I don't expect that you'll know anyone who's in the market for life insurance because, obviously, you are not in the life insurance business yourself. However, I look for people, John, who possess 3 specific characteristics. Each one of them, by the way, is possessed by you. First of all, this individual must be a responsible business and or family person, who secondly has the ability to make a decision based upon fact, and who thirdly has excellent economic growth potential. Now, John, once again, while I don't expect that you'll know anyone who's directly in the market for my products or services, I do expect that you will associate with people who, like yourself, possess these same 3 basic fundamental characteristics. Now, John, who are your 3 best friends? Because I would like to meet them. Ladies and gentlemen, if we follow this simple prospecting technique, we will have more prospects than we know what to do with. In fact, an abundance of prospects, because everybody has a best friend. A few years ago, I was returning from a sales congress in Thunder Bay, Ontario with Ron Barbaro. Ron turned to me halfway through the flight and said, "Bruce, how many of your prospects earn more money than you do? Prospect up." Or, in the words of Marshall Wolper, always stay in over your head. The deal before the deal. In my early years in the life insurance business, after finding a prospect, obtaining the facts, and preparing a solution, I would receive this type of feedback in many, many cases. "Bruce, I really like your ideas. However, unfortunately for you, I'm going to have to implement these ideas with my cousin Harold, who has been in the life insurance business for 2.5 weeks. However, Bruce, you're a wonderful guy, and I really like your ideas, and I can assure you that the next time I'm in the market for your products or services, I will definitely give you a lot of consideration." Well, ladies and gentlemen, I was getting a lot of consideration, but very little business. And therefore, on the advice of my dad, who has been in the life insurance business for 40 years, I decided to do the deal before the deal. John, thank you for taking the time to visit me here in our offices. I want to thank you for taking the time to come. And I'd like to share with you how we operate, and it's all encompassed in something we refer to as the deal before the deal. I want to ask you a lot of questions today, John, about you and your business. And I'm going to do that based on 3 conditions. The first condition says very simply that any information you share with me will be kept by me in the strictest of confidence. Secondly, I'd like to have some time to think about the answers that you give me. Because if I don't feel that we can be of any creative assistance to you and your business, we'll tell you so. Because I don't want to waste your time or mine. On the other hand, if I feel that we do have something concrete to discuss, then we'll arrange for a second meeting, at which time the third condition will apply. Now, the third condition simply states that if you like our ideas, John, and you feel they're applicable to you and your particular situation, and you decide ultimately to implement those ideas, then we would expect that you would implement those ideas with us and not any other individual or firm in the life insurance business. Do you feel comfortable, John, with our deal before the deal? 98% of our prospects will say yes and respect you for laying your cards on the table. 2% of your prospects will not. And with those 2%, you gently take them by the arm and usher them to the elevator and say, "Ciao for now." Best friends. I'm sure all of us in this room have a best friend, relative, neighbor, or acquaintance with whom we know we should have discussed the subject of personal life insurance, disability insurance, or financial planning, but whom we have not yet had the courage to call. Let me share with you an idea. Take a postcard from your hotel, from Disney World or the Epcot Center, and write a message on it to your best friend. "Dear John, thought of you this morning at the annual meeting of the $1 Million Roundtable here in Orlando, and plan to telephone you next Wednesday afternoon upon my return. Yours sincerely." "Hello, John. It's Bruce Etherington calling. Did you receive my postcard?" "Well, yes, Bruce, I did. What's it all about?" "Well, John, I sent you that postcard because I have 2 things to discuss with you." "Well, what are they?" "Well, John, first of all, I want to apologize to you." "Apologize? For what?" "Well, John, as you know, I've been in the life insurance business for 20 years, and you and I have been best friends for 10 years, and I simply wanted to apologize to you, John, for not calling you sooner." "Oh, Bruce, let not your heart be troubled." "Well, John, I appreciate that. However, quite frankly, I do have a question I'd like to ask you. John, would you have any objections to reviewing your life insurance program with me? Well, Bruce, I appreciate the fact you've called, but quite frankly, I'm not in the market. Well, John, I appreciate that. However, would you have any objections to reviewing your life insurance program with me? Well, Bruce, I recently reviewed my program with my agent, and I think I'm in pretty good shape. Well, John, I can appreciate that. However, would you have any objections to reviewing your existing program with me? Now, the majority of your best friends, neighbors, relatives, and acquaintances, if you continue to persist with that very simple question, will ultimately say, well, Bruce, look, I really think we'd be wasting your time and mine, but look, I have no objections to reviewing my program with you. And at that time, you simply say, fine, John, when should we waste an hour together? Tuesday morning at 7 or Wednesday at noon for lunch? Now, 90% of your best friends, relatives, neighbors, and acquaintances will give you that type of response. 10%, however, will not. Be prepared for the 1 in 10. Bruce, obviously I am not making myself clear. I have no desire, wish, interest, or anything else to review my life insurance program with you. It is none of your business. So please stop, cease, desist, and as a matter of fact, get lost on this subject. John, I can appreciate that. However, I'd like to have 5 minutes of your time with you in your office one day next week. And quite frankly, it's not to discuss your life insurance program, but more importantly, it's to tell you why I sent you that postcard and called you after so many years. Now, with you to that appointment, you take 2 items. The first is your appointment calendar, and the second is something we refer to as your release letter. John, thank you for the 5 minutes. I'd like you to read this letter. To whom it may concern, July 1st, 1986, Orlando, Florida. I, John Smith, have today refused to allow Bruce Etherington to review my life insurance, my disability insurance, and my overall financial portfolio program. And as a result, I hereby release Bruce from any present and or future responsibility to me and my family and my business when I die, if I become disabled, or if I retire. Signed, John Smith. After John reads that letter, he looks up at you with an almost incredulous look on his face. And you lean down over John's desk, and next to the release letter, you place your appointment calendar. And you say, now, John, my friend, I want your name on one of these 2 pieces of paper. Which one is it going to be?